Welcome everyone. In this episode, we're diving into the roots of one of America's strangest cryptids, the Hodag. From logging camp myths and newspaper hoaxes to chilling field encounters and the possibility that some legends might be true. According to American folklore, the Hodag was a bullhorn carnivore with a row of thick, curved spines running down its back. But its origins are even stranger. The Hodag, they said, was born from the ashes of cremated oxen, a vengeful spirit, fueled by the abuse those animals had suffered at the hands of their masters. The history of Hodag is deeply tied to Rhinelander, Wisconsin, where it was claimed to have been discovered. Even Paul Bunyan's earliest stories mention this creature, hinting at its long-standing place in the folklore of America's logging camps. Then, in 1893, the legend became real. Newspapers across Wisconsin ran shocking headlines. The Hodag has been discovered. The Hodag is described as a muscular creature, covered in thick green fur, with a row of jagged spikes running down its back. It has a broad face with glowing eyes, large curved horns, and massive fangs. Its limbs are short but powerful, ending in clawed feet. It was declaimed the fiercest, strangest, most frightening monster ever to set razor-sharp claws on the earth. Led by Eugene Shepard, a well-known land surveyor, timber cruiser, and prankster, a group of men trekked the beast into the woods. What followed was a battle so intense that, according to Shepard, the only way to bring the creature down was with dynamite. Soon after, the photograph of the charred remains was released to the public. The story spread like wildfire. People whispered about the beast's deadly claws, its glowing eyes, and its insatiable hunger. In 1896, Shepard made an even more shocking claim. He had captured a Hodag alive. With the help of several bear wrestlers, Shepard explained that they had subdued the creature using chloroform on the end of a long pole, forcing it into submission inside its cave. The captured Hodag was put on display at the first ever Oneida Country Fair, drawing thousands of visitors. At Shepard's personal exhibit, crowds flocked to see the creature, staring in awe at its terrifying form. Occasionally, Shepard would tug on hidden wires, making the beast move, sending terrified onlookers screaming from the display. As the story gained traction, newspapers across country began reporting on this remarkable discovery. Eventually, word even reached the Smithsonian Institution in Wisconsin, D.C. DC scientists announced their plans to travel to Rhinelander to examine the so-called living fossil for themselves, and that was the moment Shepard's story collapsed. Before the experts could arrive, Shepard finally confessed the Hodag was a hoax. The beast that had terrified thousands was nothing more than wood, animal hides, and wires. A prank so elaborate it had fooled not just a town, but an entire nation. But here's the strange part. The hoax didn't kill the legend, it made it stronger. Today, the Hodag is the official symbol of Rhinelander, Wisconsin. It serves as the mascot of Rhinelander High School. Its name is used by local businesses and organizations, and every year the town hosts the Hodag Country Festival. A massive fiberglass Hodag statue stands proudly outside of the Rhinelander Area Chamber of Commerce, drawing thousands of visitors. What started as a practical joke now is an icon of Wisconsin folklore. But who's to say Shepard's Hodag was the only one? It's been a month since I joined the Beast Agency. They found my cryptid research and recruited me. Their mission aligns with mine, preservation through secrecy. Now I have access to elite scientists, advanced tech, unrestricted travel, and full support in the field. I work under the codename Agent Ellixis, assigned to Operation Trojan Gambit, a mission so classified I can't even document it in private. Unlike before, I don't choose what to study. I receive missions tied to low research objectives. The following report details an extended field observation and confirmed physical encounter with a species only known as Hodag. I still remember the day I stumbled upon it, deep in the forest of northern Wisconsin, far off the beaten path, when I came across something strange, the half-buried remains of the ear carcass. There was no skin, no intestines, not even tendons clinging to the bone, stripped completely. Judging by the state of it, I figured scavengers must have had their fill after the initial kill. I suspected turkey vultures were the most likely culprit. Still, something about this scene felt wrong. Around the carcass, I noticed clumps of fur tangled in the undergrowth. I thought it might have belonged to the bear at first, but the color seemed off, and the fur had a strange texture, coarse and very stiff. I gathered a few samples and took some photos, figuring it was worth a closer look. Later, I had the fur analyzed by beast geneticists. A genetic examination of hair samples revealed that the animal was closely related to both the wolverine and Tyra. It seemed genetically close, yet distinct enough to be something entirely different. About a week after finding the carcass, I returned to the area, hoping to find more clues. The forest was unusually quiet, and a low mist clung to the ground. As night fell, I set up a camp near the ridge overlooking the small clearing, where I had found the remains. I wasn't expecting much, but at sunrise, I heard heavy footsteps, deliberate and slow. Peering through the trees, I caught a flicker of movement. At first, I thought it might be a bear cub, but as I squinted through the dim light, I realized the shape was all wrong. It moved lower to the ground, stock and broad, its frame anchored by massive shoulders and thick, powerful limbs. The fur was little I could make out through the gaps in the foliage. It was the same in color to the one I had found tangled in the underbrush days before, yet most of its body remained obscured, hidden beneath tall grass and dense thickets, leaving me with only a partial, unsettling glimpse of the creature. I didn't dare move. I stayed frozen behind the tree until the thing finished its meal and vanished silently back into the woods. That, of course, wasn't the end of it. I returned to the forest again and again. For weeks, I tracked it, carefully and quietly. Found its trails, broken saplings, the remains of crushed and half-eaten deer, elk, and even small carnivores. I caught fleeting glimpses of it, always keeping my distance. I had followed its trail again, and stumbled upon another fresh kill, barely a day dead. I crouched low behind the fallen log, at the end of the clearing. At first, I didn't even notice it. The carcass laid still in the center of the clearing, ribs jutting out like splintering wood. I scanned the area, expecting to be alone. That's when I heard the sound. Wet, rhythmic tearing, flesh being pulled apart. Something was already there. I hadn't seen it because it was buried in the elk's belly, almost completely hidden from view. Only a broad, hunched form was visible. Mottled fur, caked in blood, as it devoured the elk's insides from beneath. The creature was low to the ground, so still in its movement. It had nearly vanished into the kill itself. Only the occasional twitch of a thick, muscular tail or the flex of its shoulders gave it away. Then came the interruption. The coyotes, 2 of them crept from the mist, eyes fixed on the carcass. One circled wide, trying to flank. The other advanced slowly, baring yellow teeth. One tried to make a move, a desperate snap at the creature's back. Jaws aimed low, teeth ready to tear. But the quills answered first. One jabbed the coyote square in the eye, drawing a sharp cry as it recoiled. Blood already blooming across its face, it tried again, lunging at the rear, but it was like a living wall of thorns. The coyotes couldn't get close. Every angle was dead end, every attack punished. That's when it rose. The creature erupted from the elk's guts in a single fluid motion, flanks rippling with power, bone-crushing teeth glistening in the light. Along its back, a row of quills sprang upright, sharp and bristling, and for a moment it stood still. A beast born for this moment, built to feed, built to defend. The coyotes froze, one let out a panic yelp and bolted into the trees. The coyotes barely escaped, chased only by a snarl and the sound of splintering underbrush. The animal I named Triceratops has over generations evolved to fill a critical ecological role, thriving as both scavenger and an opportunistic hunter. Despite tales of a bear-sized monster, Triceratops weighs no more than a large dog, roughly 120 pounds, far smaller than myths suggest. Competing directly with ravens, vultures, and other carrion-feeding birds, it possesses a powerful advantage that sets it apart from its aerial rivals, brute strength and bone-crushing jaws. Aside from turkey vulture, it faces minimal direct competition. Triceratops thrives in this underexploited role, equipped with the perfect blend of strength and specialization to dominate a niche most predators ignore. I continued observing it eat, its lips curled back, revealing massive yellowed canines and molars built for destruction. With a sudden snap, the sound of a bone splintering crept through the quiet woods. It clamped down on the femur, shattering the marrow-rich core in seconds. By instinctively raising its quills while feeding, it creates a deterrent, allowing it to feast without constantly watching its back. Structurally and functionally similar to those of porcupines, these quills are an example of convergent evolution. While its front half is protected by horns and crushing jaws, its rear remains vulnerable, making the secondary defense essential. The quills lie flat while Triceratops is at rest, allowing for fluid movement during digging or walking through the underbrush. But when danger is near, they rise into an unpredictable, bristling display, jabbing and bending at odd angles to deter predators. This has proven especially effective against larger threats like wolves and black bears, who might otherwise see Triceratops as easy prey. Though scavenging is its main survival strategy, Triceratops is no passive forager. It actively hunts small to medium-sized mammals, and will readily confront and drive off competing scavengers. With its horns, strength, and aggressive nature, it can seize control of a kill site with ease. By consuming remains left by top predators, Triceratops recycles nutrients back into the environment. Its digging behavior helps aerate the soil, and carves out burrows that may later shelter foxes, badgers, or owls. It's not just feeding itself, it is shaping the very landscape it inhabits, turning death into opportunity and wilderness into a living cycle. The most eye-catching feature of this creature is its thick, forward-facing horns. These horns, similar to those seen in prehistoric horned gopher, are the product of sexual selection. Though not particularly long, these sturdy bony protrusions serve 2 critical purposes: intimidation and combat. During the mating season, males engage in intense displays of dominance to attract females. Unlike the wide, curved horns of bovines, Triceratops' horns are angled forward, ensuring they don't obstruct its movement, especially while digging. Its forward-facing horns allow it to navigate tight spaces without interference, making them perfectly suited for both combat and survival. Late one afternoon, I stumbled across a clearing. At first, I thought I had arrived too late, but then I heard it, a low rumble, deep in the chest, like thunder pressed through the throat. 2 males circled each other, muscles taut, quills flexed and rippling like waves across their backs. The creature's tail, while not as specialized as its horns or quills, plays an important role in balance and combat. Thick and muscular, it aids the animal while standing upright, in the intimidating stance. One of the males stood broader and heavier, his coat scratched and thick with old scars. The other was leaner, but no less fierce. They puffed themselves up, then they clashed. Much like bison, competing males would ram into each other, shoving and testing their opponent's resolve in a brutal contest. The goal isn't necessarily to injure, but to prove dominance. The weaker male will eventually retreat, while the victor secures his place in the hierarchy. The sound was like wood splintering, bone against bone. They slammed into each other with great force. A series of violent shoves, grunts, and blood-flecked snarls. Finally, after a long, grueling minute, the younger one backed off, disappearing into the trees, leaving the victor to bellow a final, hollow call across the woods. Only a few days later, I found the female. While both sexes possess horns, those of females are much less pronounced. She was alone, slipping silently through the undergrowth toward a shaded slope near the granite outcrop. I followed at a distance, careful not to spook her, until I spotted the burrow, deep and hidden beneath the twisted roots of an old oak. She disappeared into it, without a sound. I waited there for nearly an hour. That's when I saw a tiniest movement, a soft and small muzzle peeking out for only a second before retreating. The young were born, small, soft-coated, and clumsy. No horns yet and no spines. Their eyes were open, but their gaze was slow and unsure. The mother emerged once, stepping into the clearing. Her quills bristled halfway, a quiet warning to any nearby threat. Her eyes swept the area with sharp vigilance. She would guard her offspring with ferocity if need be, and so beneath the watchful gaze of their fierce protector, the next generation of these extraordinary creatures took its first breath in the wild. I had come to study a mythological beast, but what they found was a keystone species in motion, a creature equal parts brutality and nurturing warmth. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this dive into cryptid lore and speculative evolution, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. What do you think Hodag really was? Thank you everyone for over 600 subs. Hopefully we can get to 1000 by the end of the year. Until next time.